Hey everybody, I'm Nick Pompane with Realty Growth Incorporated, and I just got back from Vegas and ICSC 2023. So today what I want to talk to you about is just kind of my time and maybe things that I noticed and things that I'm probably going to do differently next year when I go. For those of you that haven't been to ICSC, it's for sure the largest trade show for commercial real estate and retail anchors and such in the country. This year, over 24,000 people attended the event, which to me, even though I'm an extrovert, it's really overwhelming. It takes place at the Las Vegas Convention Center. And for those of you that have been there, it's an enormous convention center, and they take multiple of the halls. I think it was something like 300,000 square feet of space or something. So it's a little bit overwhelming, and there's so many people, and you're just trying to get your bearings. So just to kind of give you a little bit of recap of what was done, day one, which was Sunday, is more of an educational thing. People are coming in, they're getting their badges, they're picking those things up, they're checking out the events, really starting to do their due diligence and planning. And then there's a bunch of seminars, and I did attend a lot of those seminars. Now, those seminars range from anywhere from, one that I attended was regarding governmental affairs and how TIF, which is tax increment financing, any type of opportunity zone work, how that goes about in developments. And that was actually a really interesting thing. They had a person from the city of Tulsa, Oklahoma, and then three other people from various groups that they discussed how they use TIF or opportunity zones to help with their retail centers. There was another one on forming an LLC and a partnership and owning retail strip centers or larger retail centers. That was really interesting, just from the fact that they discussed on what you should look for, dealing with partnerships and how that works with taxes. There's other seminars as well, but they have multiple ones at the same time. So unfortunately, I couldn't hit them all, even though there was multiple ones that I wanted to go to at the various hours. So essentially from 1 to 4, it was educational, it was great, a bunch of seminars, really good stuff. I just wish, for me personally, that they didn't have multiple seminars going at once, because I really would like to attend more. So I was going to make the suggestion of maybe spreading that out, making it more than just a 4-hour time period for seminars, maybe make it an 8-hour or 6 hours. Because that would have been really nice. I really do enjoy the educational part of it. And it's just really interesting to hear what the leaders in the industry are talking about, how they're going about doing things, how they're putting together deals and such. So then after that, the seminars was the keynote speaker. And that was, I believe, at 4:45. And the keynote speaker this year was Andy Reid, coach of the Kansas City Chiefs. And it was really cool, because I can see why players like to play for him. He's a very relaxed yet stoic individual, and I was just really impressed with how he carried himself, and he's just a real person. And I really got that feeling, like he didn't come off as being fake or anything like that. I think what you see is what you get. And he's just this very humble, smart, team-oriented person. And so I was kind of thinking to myself, how in the world is this guy going to kind of connect to the business world? And this is a, multiple winning Super Bowl champion coach who deals with, these super athletes like Patrick Mahomes. He talked about Patrick Mahomes a lot and how wonderful of a guy that is, and how he's the first to go to work and the last to leave. And so anyways, kind of going back to what I was saying, how is this guy going to connect business to a sports team? And he actually did a really good job. Now, he didn't come out and say, oh, well, this is how I connect, my work with, business. But I think what he was trying to get at was he talked a lot about teamwork and how he likes to build his teams. And something that really resonated with me was he said, you need to surround yourself with better and smarter people than you. And that's really interesting because my dad actually told me the same thing. For me, it was like, oh my gosh, my dad could have been an NFL football coach. It's true though. You're only as good as the people that you surround yourself with. And he also said, like, I might be the head coach, but I don't know everything, nor do I want to know everything, nor will I ever know everything. I'm just the leader. And he goes, but there are other leaders on this team as well, and we're all on the same level and playing field. I'm just the one that, does the main leading, and I'm kind of the face. And he talked about how when he joined the Kansas City Chiefs, how he had to get rid of a lot of like the former coaches. And he said that was one of the hardest things that he has ever done in his life. And he said, because they're all good people. He said the thing is they just didn't fit the culture. They didn't fit the culture of what the GM and he, as Coach Andy Reid, were looking to do in Kansas City. And what I didn't realize is that when he took over the Kansas City Chiefs, they were the worst football team. And now they're clearly one of the best. So that was just a really interesting thing, because how I then correlated that with business, obviously, it's pretty obvious, but it is about the people that you work with. And it is about building that culture. And to make a winning team, whether it's a sports team or a business team, everybody has to buy into that culture. And like I said, even though he didn't like come out and say that, that was a really huge takeaway for me. And it was like, wow, this guy's really cool. Like I said, he seemed like a great guy. Like I could have listened to him for hours. And he comes out in like a Hawaiian shirt. The guy's just goofy. And it's like, wow, this guy he's an amazing guy. And so he talked about some of the players as well, and how dealing with different personalities. Like one person he said is Patrick Mahomes. He goes, Patrick Mahomes is one of the greatest kids, he said, that he's ever met and he's ever coached. He's like, he's smart. He does what he's told. He is the hardest worker on the field. And he goes, then we got other people like Travis Kelce. He goes, and now I won't go into Travis Kelce. He's like, but he's just a lot different than Patrick. But he goes, it works, because why it works is because they both work really hard, and they both are ingrained in the culture. So that was just a really, really cool, really interesting conversation. And I really liked how they did it, because in the past when I've gone to these, it's typically the speaker just standing up there talking about him or herself. And to me, it kind of became oh, well, how many more books can I sell? Or how many more articles of clothing can I sell? This was completely different, because Andy Reid isn't trying to sell anything. He's not a brand for himself. He's a football coach. And he was just there talking about it. And he actually wasn't up there by himself. It was much more interactive than the past speakers, because the president of ICSC was actually up there, and they're having a conversation with each other. And I really, really, really enjoyed that. So that was Sunday. Sunday, once again, educational, just kind of getting your bearings, getting planned for the upcoming madness, which is the actual convention in ICSC. So Monday, that is the biggest day. And what I've seen over the years is that Monday and Tuesday used to be really big, and then Wednesday you could go, but people were already starting to tear down their booths. It started to like condense more, and Monday is complete madness. And just like in the years past, I mean, it's like there's this sea of people, and for me, it's just like this immediate overwhelming feeling. You just kind of have to take a step back and take a deep breath and be like, okay, this is my plan. This is where I'm going. Like, let's do this. And so that's what I had to do, because in years past, I never had a plan. And so for those out there that are looking at attending ICSC, what I would suggest is pick 3 vendors or people that you want to talk to and set up meetings. Pick 3 people that you might not know, and you're just like, well, I just want to go check it out. Do that. And then maybe pick 3 of the talks. They have mini talks, which were really cool. Pick 3 of the mini talks and use that as a schedule. So at least you have something and you can feel accomplished at the end of the day, because there is way too many times that I felt in the past where Yes, we walked all over the place and we visited with a lot of people, but I didn't feel like I really accomplished anything. This year, I actually had a plan. I did those three things that I just suggested, and I felt like I actually accomplished something. I had meetings set up, which was really great. One of the meetings was with Cadoba, and that was really cool because I actually got to meet with the head of real estate. I've been in contact with someone that is just helping out for the area, but I got to actually meet with the head of real estate. And there was just a lot of, he asked, of course, all the right questions. There was just a really good conversations. And I think there was a lot of genuine interest, which I'm really excited to see where that might go because we're looking to put them in our new building that we're looking at building on West Circle Drive. And so that was a really great meeting that I really appreciated. I also got to meet with, I would consider an old friend, Mr. Rob Glimsher, who owns the Glimsher Group, and they're out of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I've known Rob mostly my entire life, and Rob and his group own where Walmart and Sam's Club is on the north side of town here in Rochester, Minnesota. They own property all over the United States. Rob was a client of my dad's. My dad actually sold all that land back in 1991. And at that time, I believe, we have the article in our office somewhere, I believe it was the largest land deal in Rochester. And so I got to know Rob. I remember going to his house. Oh, I was probably 5. Yeah, 5, 91. I would have been 5 years old. And he had this pool, and it looked like it was black. And it was just because of the tile. He had black tile on the bottom, but the water looked black. And I just remember, I'll never forget going to his house because we went out to Pittsburgh. We had family in Maryland, so we did like a road trip, and we stopped in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, to meet with Mr. Glimsher, and we swam in his pool, and it was this black pool, and I'll never forget that because I couldn't see like my feet or my hands, and I just thought it was the coolest thing in the world. Anyways, Mr. Glimsher is there every year. I got to stop by his booth again. He's just a great guy. I got to meet his son, who is in college, who is learning the business. That was really cool, and so it was a great time to kind of reconnect with other people as well. And all in all, day one was madness. I think I did 23,000 steps. I don't even remember how many miles it was, like 7 or 8 miles. And we got there at 8, right when the doors opened, and I believe I left at 2. And I was just gassed. I mean, and that's the thing. This thing is like literally, it doesn't sound like, oh, it should just be easy. No, man, I'm telling you, you're walking from one end of the convention center to the other. It's like, oh my gosh, there's so many different halls that you get, you just get kind of turned around and you forget what hall you're in. But day one was, in my mind, a really great success. I had a couple of, like I said, really great meetings with individuals, and it was really fun to kind of just reconnect with those that I've seen in the past and that I know. Day two was much more of the same. I had 3 meetings on day 2. One, which I thought was really great, was with Scooter's Coffee. They are a franchise company, coffee company based out of Omaha, Nebraska. Got to meet with their real estate person, once again, to discuss our building, but also to discuss other opportunities in Rochester. Currently, it sounds like they don't have a franchisee in Rochester, and so we're spitballing a little bit about maybe who might be able to be a good franchisee for them, and also we talked about sites and things like that. And then met with another individual from Bloomington who had some interest in Rochester and bringing some clients to Rochester. Day 2 is a lot more relaxed. Once again, went there at about 9, so about an hour later, and then stayed there till about 1. Went to another, is a mini seminar that was done by actually the Mall of America. That was really fascinating as well. They were actually, I think my partner Bucky would have, I think, enjoyed it because they talked about the technology that they're using specifically with the Mall of America app, and how actually successful that's been, and how they believe that that's actually driven more traffic to the mall. And then they talked about how, they have all these different things that they're doing, and now, they're planning on doing this huge water park and stuff. And it's quite fascinating, quite crazy. They're like, oh yeah, which of you that own malls out there has I think they said like a 5-acre indoor amusement park, and it's just like hilarious because it's just like, well, we do. Nickelodeon universe is what it is. So, anyways, it's still interesting to see how I remember when the Mall of America was built. Probably many of you out there do as well, and how much of a big deal that was, and it still is today. I mean, well, I'm not even sure when that was built. Early 90s, I think. So we're talking 30 years ago, 35 years ago. Um, and it is still a really big deal. And people still respect Mall of America and what it is. And I really appreciated, too, just kind of the resilience of shopping centers in general. That was another thing that I thought was really interesting on how they're converting these shopping centers. That was a lot of the theme last year, but they continued to evolve, I think, through this year. And they talked about how, like, the success that they're seeing in shopping centers, and how, but people have gotten a little creative with them. A big thing that they talked about was like pickleball, and how like pickleball has taken everything by storm, and how you remember last year they talked about how gyms have started to take over like big box stores in malls, and now they're talking about how, yeah, it's gyms, but also now they're starting to see a little bit more entertainment like pickleball. And it's so funny because I remember playing pickleball when I was in high school, in Phi Ed, in college, and it's just like, oh, this is just another game that we learned how to play. But now it's just kind of taken, I think, the world by storm. So anyways, yeah, day 2, a little bit more relaxed. You start seeing a lot more people head out. Like I said, the previous years, Wednesday is when everybody would start taking things down. Tuesday, you start seeing less and less people. I also met a individual from Nebraska as well, whose family has quite a large real estate holding company, and their holdings spread across the United States. Now, this individual I got to know from a very good friend of mine. He knows this person, and he said, you got to meet. And so we met up for like 15, 20 minutes, and it was just really cool to meet someone that's in the industry but is doing other things. They're more on the acquisition side of things, and running a family company, which was also really cool to kind of talk to someone about that. They're just in another realm. They deal with a lot of placing private equity and things like that, stuff that we haven't quite touched yet, but I'm definitely interested in that. So it's just fun to just connect with new people as well, and meet new people, and we're in touch. And maybe one day he'll invest in something in Rochester, and we'll see where that goes. But all in all, I would say this was probably the most successful ICSC trip that I've had. And I think partly is I'm starting to learn. It took like 5 years to like figure this thing out, and I'm still trying to figure it out, like I said, because I got lost. I can't tell you how many times. But I had a plan. And so next year, I'm even going to do a better plan, because for me, it went so much more smoothly this year than in years past, because there was this plan. And like I said, I actually felt like I accomplished something. Instead of just going around and grabbing cards, I actually had a plan, and there was a method to my madness. Once again, there's still madness involved, just because of the sheer size of this and the amount of people. But all in all, it was a wonderful experience. Great connections. I did all my follow-ups after every time I went back to the hotel. That's the first thing I did, just to keep people, keep me fresh, keep myself fresh in their minds, because they see so many people. And so I'm really looking forward to next year. One day I hope that we can actually set up a booth there ourselves, talk about what we do and who we are. That'd be a dream, and I hope to make that a reality. Another thing that was really cool I forgot to mention was on day 2 I met up with Build Out, and they provide our computer software, and I met the CEO. And I was expecting the CEO, for whatever reason, I don't know, I still have this mindset that CEOs are like older people. No, he was probably 30, 31, 32 is my guess, maybe 35, maybe 35. And it was by accident because I thought that maybe our rep would be there. So I asked for Chris. And the guy that was there was like, oh yeah, Chris is right over here. And I was like, oh, cool. And I was like, that's not the Chris I know. And he's like, well, meet this Chris. He's the CEO. And I was like, oh, wow, this is awesome. And so like we talked about build out and how great of a program it's been. It's been really great for us. Obviously, we're still learning it, but he gave me a hat and a t-shirt and, very gracious guy, brilliant dude. Like, it's fun to start seeing, I think myself as young. I don't know if I'm young, but I will say the younger generation kind of being in these roles and seeing that evolve through the years where it's our turn now. And it's kind of that new age, which was really exciting to see. So anyways, that's my recap on ICSC 2023. Like I said, really look forward to next year. I'm going to even have a better plan, and we'll put together some videos here with some tips before going. And anyways, appreciate you listening, and I hope everybody's doing well. Take care. Until next time. Thanks for watching our video. We really love talking commercial real estate and making content regarding these issues, whether it's business-related items or real estate-related items. If you would like to hear more about us, please follow us on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and follow our journey.